Welcome back to Experience Real Podcast. I'm here with Rob, who runs therapy with Rob. I don't actually know your last name, Rob. I don't know if you could enlighten me.
For sure, it's Rob Holdsworth.
Rightio, mate. So I've seen like how I come to notice you. I noticed you on Instagram, working with people like Angelo. You said you were working with Scott Peterson. I've noticed you were working with other boxers, athletes, MMA fighters. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know, there's a lot to like mindset development. I see you doing hypnotherapy and things like that. I'd like to just kind of unpack it, try and figure out the benefits of it, how you started it, a load of different things there. But like, what made you get into like mindset coaching and?
For sure, man. So yes, I'm a professional hypnotherapist. I'm a mindset coach. Been doing it for about 4 years now. I fell into it really, Joe. Fell into it. So probably about 4 years ago. With therapy, with mindset coaching, with any sort of practice, people always get into it through a story. It's exactly like myself. So I went through a breakup, and that sort of gave me the power of talking. Literally just sat there with my mum for hours on end, just talking through things, and it just sparked something in my mind to think, geez, this is mad powerful. So it literally probably, about 6 months after meeting Kristen, my girlfriend, she was like, oh, you're so interested in human behaviour, why don't you look into counselling? So I was like, do you know what, I let that sit, let it marinate for a couple of months, and then, jumped on a course. It was a 3-year course. First year was hypnotherapy. Second year was psychotherapy and counselling, and third year, same as well. First year, Joe, as soon as I did the hypnotherapy, literally a month in, I was like, I love this shit, man. I love it. So I just invested in it. Just asked to the grass, man. Just proper went for it. Everything. I started seeing people straight away. I know I probably shouldn't have done that, but just to get that experience, just to get that in there. Obviously made them aware that I was in training, but ultimately, man, just took to it like a duck to water. Then that second and third year of counselling and psychotherapy, I just thought, nah, I can't do it. I just took to hypnotherapy so well. So literally from there, just started building a business. And it wasn't until probably about 18 months ago now where I absolutely love boxing, love MMA, and I just married the two together. And I thought, do you know what? It was just before lockdown when I started to think about that, and I thought, do you know what? I'm in. And then that was it. And that's where I'm at today.
Awesome, man. So like when you find something you're passionate about as well, you know, don't you, when you like strike gold on it. Mm-hmm. Like I found with this, the second I'd done like 3 or 4, I was like, yeah, it just feels right. Everything feels right. Everything aligns, and you get in that space where you just know you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you say, ask the grass and keep going, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so hypnotherapy, like, it's going to take a bit of explaining to me. I don't actually know like fully what it is. I know like you can, obviously if someone's got addictions, mental blocks they need to overcome, you can use that to try and help with that. But like,
yeah.
Could you give me, I know it's quite hard probably because it probably takes a long time to do it, but could you like kind of break it down?
Yeah, I can break it down. Literally, whenever I do a consultation with someone, Joe, it takes 10 minutes to run through everything, 5 minutes to explain what hypnotherapy is, which I can do. I can give you a snapshot of that. But you're dead right. It deals with addiction. It can deal with those blockages, those barriers, which is that's crucial for what I do, what I work with, is getting through, overcoming those barriers and blockages from people achieving or not achieving their full potential, especially with athletes. There's so many mental barriers, mental blockages that can stop them just getting over that line. The amount of times that I've heard from fighters, I knew I could finish him, but something just blocked me. And that is, and so it's about understanding where that blockage comes from. So hypnotherapy, Joe, it all works with the subconscious mind. Right now, we're in our conscious mind, so we're conscious, creative, we're alert. The subconscious, it's like a vault of information. It's where our belief systems are, morals, memories, physical responses, habits. They're all stored in this little vault in the mind. Now, if you've ever heard of someone who says, who can't accept a compliment, you say to someone, oh, you look very nice today, and they say, don't be silly. That information just bounces straight off. So what they're being told consciously doesn't align with their subconscious beliefs. So it's just rejected. The part of the brain that does that, Joe, is something what's called the conscious critical faculty, the CCF. This is like a gatekeeper, a bouncer, a doorman into the subconscious. So whenever someone's given information, it checks in with this CCF, who checks in with the subconscious to see if it's recognised. And if it isn't, that's when it's rejected. Exactly like that case with the person who can't accept a compliment. So the whole point in hypnotherapy is getting someone into a nice, relaxed state of focused attention. Once they're in a nice, relaxed state, they're experiencing the brainwave of theta. Theta is where the subconscious mind is open. And naturally, we're in theta twice a day, which is first thing on the morning when we wake up and the last thing just before bed. When someone's in that state, their subconscious mind is open, so that CCF, that gatekeeper, is suspended. So then any information that's given to the mind at that point actually freely enters, and that's where we can begin to rewrite any limiting beliefs, any unhelpful subconscious programs, or strengthen things that people already consider to be strengths. The biggest sort of objection that I get from speaking to people is their mindset is already on it. So, Joe, we could do this podcast in 2 weeks' time and neither of us would be the same person. So for someone to say, my mindset's sound now, if they're wanting to be world champion, that mindset, what they've got right now, isn't going to serve them when they're going to be world champion and what it takes to be a world champion. So not only do I work with negatives, issues, problems, barriers, blockages, some of the clients that I've got and some of the people that I work with are already on the money with the mindset. So the work that we're doing is about understanding how we can increase that. The brain's an ever-changing organ, man. So how far can we push that? How many new neural connections can we make to see how far we can push things, man? That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's interesting, really, mate, because a while back I started working with this coach who's quite local to here, Get Feral Coach. I don't know if you've seen him on Instagram. But he's all about being primal aligned with your diet and your food and your exercise and whatever, and trying to take it back to like the beings we were before all the social media, all the phones, all the distractions.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, working with him, was getting that morning routine in. And like a big part of it was literally getting outside first thing when you wake up and just visualizing what you want your next 5 years, 10 years to look like, and implanting that in your brain. But then the second you realize you're doing you're visualizing something that you think is really achievable, he says, scrap that, visualize what you actually want, what you would want if there was no restriction whatsoever. Picture yourself being that, smelling that, feeling that. Literally implant yourself into your future version of yourself with no limiting beliefs. And I tell you what, mate, it made hell of a difference. Like to me personally. And that is that first thing in the morning type brainwave, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, man. When we wake up, and visualization, Joy, is just, the power of it is just insane. So when we, let's say we're thinking about a future fight, for example, you think about that, you visualize that future fight, the same part of your brain and the same muscle fibers activate as though you're actually doing it. So the more you visualize about a certain thing, the more your body becomes familiar to it. So then as soon as you get to that event, it's like you've already been there. Literally, not just within your mind, but your whole body, how you feel. So ultimately, you can feel more relaxed. And that is the biggest thing of being able to get into flow state. If you're nice and relaxed, ultimately you can allow every single bit of training that you've done over the years to come through from the subconscious. That's the whole idea of flow state, which we can get into, man.
Definitely, man. Well, we're like adaptive beings, though, aren't we? Like you go to the gym, first time you go, you're in absolute agony, and it's like, what am I doing to myself? But like the mind is the same thing, isn't it? If you visualize, like in that scenario at the end of the fight, finishing someone, I would imagine if you keep running that through, by the time you've come to it, it's more natural than if you'd never run it through. And
Exactly.
It's got to have just like broken down that barrier. Like every time you try something difficult, the first time I did this, it was quite hard to hold a conversation because it was like, this is weird, this is strange.
Yeah.
But then you kind of find that flow with it, like you're saying, and
Definitely.
it just becomes easier over time. The more you do anything, reps in, and whether them reps are real or whether they're in your mind, they still work, don't they? Massively.
100%. Yeah.
It's like building yourself up ready for it.
That's it, man. That's it. So literally, like flow state is part of that is visualization, getting into that state. And as soon as if you can, Conor McGregor, that Jose Aldo fight when he finished him in like 17 seconds, there's a video of him in the changing rooms and he's going through that finish. He's going through that punch that finished Aldo. But he said it wasn't just in the changing room, it was the hours of visualization, the hours of practice that came into putting that into play that night, which is just insane.
Same with Jorge Masvidal, that Ben Askren knockout. Do you see that with the knee?
Yeah.
And then he puts out the video of him training it like the night before over and over again. It's like, oh man, I've had it before, right? Where like you just picturing like what you want your future to be, and like this is probably like the subconscious mind completely, because like I've actively done it in the mornings, but sometimes when I haven't actively done it, and you're just like, oh, yeah, that'd be nice when you haven't set this time aside to actually do it. And then like a couple of months later, the things which you thought would be nice are just happening. You haven't necessarily even put a massive work in to get there, but because you believed in your head, that's going to happen one day probably. It just kind of comes to fruition. It's such a weird thing. And
it's bad.
I find a lot of the time it's the ones, and maybe this isn't the best thing to say, like, but you don't necessarily put the mass amount of work into. You've just subconsciously, done it, and you've convinced yourself it's what you're worthy of. And like your self-worth is massive, isn't it?
Massive, absolutely massive. If you fully believe in something, Joe, on that fundamental level, it'll happen. Whether it'll happen in 6 months, 6 years, 6 weeks, 6 days, it's going to happen. So my girlfriend, Kristen, she is, she always says this, I'll just let something go into my mind, and then over the course of a few weeks, it'll just come to fruition. And it does, so it's exactly the same there. So on the back of that then, Joe, imagine how, if you did put the work in, if you did put that subconscious work in, how quick you could get results, how far you could push yourself. So rather than these things just happening, it happens with intention.
Yeah.
And then you keep moving. What's the next thing, and just keep pushing, keep moving.
That's one of the key things which I found when I was working with that coach, was like, I would feel so good, and I'd be like, I don't feel like I can break through that next ceiling, because I've come from here feeling really low, and I've got to here, and you're like, I just want to walk around with this buzz. He's like, now you need to, like, now we need to look at implementing some new things. And like, there's levels like which I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to say like I live in that space all the time, because I'd be lying to you. But like, when everything aligns, that focus is unreal. Like, you can't get anything better than that. But like, since I've had a little one, I do feel like I've let it all slip a little bit. But like, yeah, when you find that flow state, you really know about it. Everything just seems to be, everything works. Nothing stresses you out. But it is all little tips and tricks. Have you got any like things that you find get people into that flow state quick? Have you got any kind of like hacks?
It's all about connecting. So I've literally, I just put a video out on this yesterday about 4 zones of awareness. So we've got the inner zone, the outer zone, the middle zone, and the co-creating zone. So the inner is all to do with the natural bodily functions, your emotional state, how you're feeling. The outer zone is all to do with the 5 senses. Now, the best way that you can get into flow state in anything is to be focused and be present. If your mind's anywhere but the task in hand, you're not going to get into that flow state. So if you can completely give yourself up to the moment and connect with this inner and outer zone, how you do that is, okay, how am I feeling? What's what is in front of me? What can I see? What can I hear? What can I smell? If you tune into your hearing, and I say this to a lot of fighters when they're training, if you tune into what you're listening to and you're hearing that guy who's shouting over there, then you're not focused on what's in front of you. If you're doing pad work here and some guy's on the pads over there and you're tuning into him with your hearing, you're not fully focused. You can't fully get into that flow state. So connecting with the 5 senses. So for my clients who were in the ring or in the cage, feeling the feet under the ground, the canvas, the floor, connecting with that. And then connecting with, okay, how am I feeling right now? Taking that nice deep breath in. Now, this can be the same for absolutely anything. If you can fully invest yourself in what's in front of you. So, for example, if I'm writing, I don't know, an essay, typing, touching what you're feeling, every single letter, looking at the screen, looking at the words move on the screen, those sorts of things. And then before you know it, you're just in that flow state. And then everything just sort of moves from there. So presence, focus, connecting with how you're feeling and your 5 senses as well, and making sure that they are honed in on what's in front of you.
Because, I don't know, in this modern age, say, for instance, you're working at home or you're out on a run or whatever you're doing, like, for me personally, I tend to have music on, a podcast on or whatever, And you can't get into that then though, can you? Because you're concentrating on something whilst trying to work on something else. And I find like that, I do find a massive disconnect between getting in that space if I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like narrowing down on your distraction, getting that out of your head and being on it. It makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, definitely. But we can't multitask. Like
not well anyway.
Yeah, humans cannot fundamentally multitask.
Is that the same for women or?
Yeah, 100%, man. So like, the word multitasking, where that would come from is from computers. So computers can have many different programs up and they're all running at the same time using like CPU. So they're all running at the same time, they're multitasking. But our brain, what it does is, so if I'm focusing on this and I'm doing this at the same time, it's just flicking backwards and forwards. So we're giving 100% there and 100% there. So if we're giving 100% there, but we're still trying to do that thing, we're not actually giving it any energy. So it's crazy when you start to think of that.
Yeah, I kind of live by like as well, how you do anything is how you do everything in a way, isn't it? Like if you're having a good day and everything's going well, you'll like, instead of putting your plate on the side, you'll stick it in the dishwasher or like all these little things, they all add up to the grand picture of how you're going to perform that day. It makes hell of a difference. It's like, do you listen to any Jordan Peterson or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like his whole thing is like make your bed in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's such a small thing, but it just sets you up for the day. Anything you do, I do find that morning thing, like I try to run every morning now. That's like part of my new routine. Been doing it for a few months. And that difference, like, just sets your day up. You're a completely different person from the time you've done that. You've broken your sweat, and you go on throughout the day. And otherwise, you're just drowsy. Do you relate? Because obviously, I know like you're a therapist, and you're talking about like mindset and everything. But what's your views on like nutrition involved with mindset? Do you feel like there's a lot to unpack there as well?
100%.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend's a nutritionist. She's a PT as well, massage therapist. So you know we've got the whole package really between us, and nutrition is the biggest thing. I can feel it especially at Christmas. It's such a fresh example. I had probably like a week where I was just eating shit, just drinking. I didn't train, and the best thing is I just allowed that to happen. I thought, you know what, I've worked hard for the past year, just had a baby. Let me just have this time off. But I can mentally feel the difference. I'm sluggish. Maybe I'm not as creative, not as motivated. And then as soon as January came back round and I got back on it, I'm sharp. I'm in it, and I'm in it. On the back of what you just said there, Joe, about like that plate, putting the plate in the dishwasher.
Yeah,
that is literally something that I've, just having a baby yourself, like things go out of the window, man. Like the vacuuming, like things just go out of the window. So I took a stance this year. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna be on top of absolutely everything. Like no excuses. That as soon as there's a plate there to wash up, I'm washing it up, drying it up, I'm putting it away, done. Pots and pans, they're away. If anything needs to go up in the loft, it's done. I've got this conscious effort of just doing. If I see it, I'm doing it. I'm not putting it off to another time. And do you know what? It's transferred into business. That mentality of keeping going, not giving up, keep pushing, getting out of that comfort zone, it transfers, and it's so true. Especially like just that little thing, making your bed on a morning, and then it's like, okay, well, what's next? Yeah. And then it's the next thing and the next thing, and then before you know it, you've had the most productive day ever.
Momentum, innit?
Massively.
Momentum's huge. Yeah, I had one of my friends literally having these sorts of conversations all the time with people on and off podcasts, whatever, just like trying to optimize life and all these sorts of things. And I was out for a walk with him last night, and he was saying, I've made a conscious decision now. Anything that takes less than 2 minutes, I'm doing it there and then. If it takes more than 2 minutes, I'm scheduling it, and it's going to be done. But if it takes less than 2 minutes, I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah.
You know, if I think of something I need to do, or I'm around the house, if I'm looking at that, like, the washing up, whatever, it takes less than 2 minutes, I'm doing it straight away, because otherwise I'm going to take 2 minutes thinking about doing it. So just do it. And that was quite like a good tip, I thought, because, a lot of the time you're like, I can't be asked to do that. Then you think about it, you ponder on it, and you could have done it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You just, so much time we waste.
For sure, that's part of the limitations that we set ourselves for. How many times have you put something off, and then because you think, that's going to take the piss, and then you actually end up doing it, it takes 2 minutes, and then you're like, fucking hell, I could have done that. I could have done that 10 times over. And that's like the limitations that we set ourselves, like not only with time, but with anything. You have that instant thought, I can't do this. You can do it 10 times over, 10 times better, 10 times stronger. It's crazy, man. The limitations that we set ourselves, it's all based on like previous experience. It's all based on, limitations people put on us, coaches, teachers, parents, like unknowingly put those limitations on us, and it molds us into sometimes just a person that we know we shouldn't be, or we know we don't want to be. And sometimes it's very hard to escape that, like monotonous thought process.
I think as well, like sometimes their expectation of you is what gets you, but sometimes it even goes further to what you think they're thinking about you. They may not even be thinking, they may see all the potential, but you're thinking that they're thinking you're nothing, and you're letting that get to you. And like, it doesn't even exist half the time, does it? Like, exactly. When I had this conversation with like a load of people where you say you go into a pub or in somewhere for food or whatever with your missus, and you like, if you're not feeling your best and whatever, or you're going out with like, I don't know, your parents-in-law or whatever, food, you're like, if I'm not feeling my best, I'm always worried what people are thinking about me. And chances are they're probably thinking the same thing about themselves, because we're all so eye-centric. We all like we've got such big egos, haven't we, which we're always thinking about ourselves. They're probably not even thinking about you. And if they are thinking all bad stuff about you, they're probably not worth worrying about anyway. So you've I always like try to keep this thing in my head where I'm like, if they're thinking bad about me, fuck them. And you've got to address, like, probably it's just you thinking about you, and they're probably thinking about themselves.
Exactly.
It's such a backwards thing. We think everyone's thinking about you. That's such an ego. It is. Without even knowing it, like, because you're feeling like shit, but you've still got that ego to think everyone else is thinking about you, because they're not.
Yeah. It is that ego. But have you heard that saying? I am not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And that is literally it. So like, if we think that someone thinks we're stupid, then we are stupid. We will feel all of those emotions and feelings attached to what stupid represents. So we'll feel embarrassed, we'll feel shy, we'll feel, I don't know, self-conscious, those sorts of things. It's crazy. If we have the decision, we have the choice on how we move through life. This is what I'm so passionate about, and this is what I'm really trying to build through TWR therapy with Rob, is we are limitless, man. We're so limitless. Look at Buckminster Fuller, I think he's called. He's an author. He said during the 1900s, the combination of all the world scientists was doubling. The knowledge of the world scientists were doubling every 100 years. Then the 20th century, every 50 years, then 25 years, then 10 years, 5 years. Now we're at a point where we've got nanotechnology, we've got genetics, we've got billionaires sending shit up to the moon. We're limitless. Who knows? Like, we don't know what's capable of us as humans, and all these people are who's coming up with these things. Scientists, they're just humans. Yeah, humans with an idea. So we're no different. Me and you sat here, Joe, to scientists, to anyone who are coming up with these inventions, ideas.
100%, mate.
It's all about tapping into that internal inner strength. We've all got it, man. We've all got it.
Yeah, it's all just belief, isn't it? And sometimes, like, I feel even people, who've been down in the dumps, they've always got that glimmer in which they know they've got it in them, I think. But it's just unleashing that, isn't it? Everyone's got it. Like you say, everyone's capable of doing these things. It is just tapping into that. And I had, like, when I started working with that other coach, I won't say how much it was or whatever, but like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a lot of money for that. But I don't think you can even put a price on it. Because if it can change your life, if you're down, you're depressed, or you're not achieving what you could be, or if it gives you like that 10% whilst you're working with them, but then you can you can just work on that. You can build it up. It's exponential what you can actually achieve from learning them certain techniques, behaviors, and just like he called it an unlearning and then a relearning. So unlearn all the bullshit you used to know, and let's relearn, start from scratch. And like, if you can do that and you can change yourself, the money isn't a factor, because you're going to get that back tenfold. Exactly. Like someone who comes to you and pays you, like, they may, like a lot of fighters, let's be honest, starting out, there's not a lot of money in fighting, is there? So they're probably like, I don't know if I could pay to work with Rob or whatever. But then, they may, like, I'm not saying, I don't know. I haven't seen it, I don't know who you're working with or whatever, but naturally they're like, we want to save in the short term, don't we? Rather than gain in the long term. It's kind of what we do. We kind of bite our nose off to spite our face. Whereas when they become like UFC champion or whatever, then they'll know it was worth it, innit?
Exactly. It depends on the sort of person, doesn't it? We can look for those short-term gains and short-term successes, but the way that I see things, Joy, is that we have to look so far beyond where we currently think we should be. So, some clients who say, I want to be British champion within boxing, why not go for the world champion? Why not set your limits on that? Then, European champion as well. You might get to these points where you're moving up the ranks. If you don't hit that full goal, let's say world champion, but you fall short and you hit European champion and you've also smashed British champion as well, boom, we're in.
Yeah.
Happy days. So like with what I try and help my clients understand, Joe, is that if our goals are unrealistic and we're working towards them, then where we've currently set our goals, you're going to smash them.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
It's non-negotiable. You're just going to hit that as a natural byproduct of looking forward to that bigger thing. Now, I wouldn't ever say to neglect the small steps, though. The small steps are super important.
Yeah.
And of course, they build the bigger picture. But yeah, like setting those goals like way above than where you've currently set them. So Grant Cardone, I don't know if you've heard of him. Yeah, 10x. I've got a business mentor, Luke Wilson. He literally, me and him just chew the fat all the time about different literature, different success literature. And literally all we say to each other, 10x it. If you think that's good, then fucking 10x that. Take it to the moon, keep pushing it, and it comes back in dividends, man.
Yeah, mate, 100%. So like starting out, so you're working with fighters, how did you convince them? Because I'm sure there was probably a little bit of convincing, was there, at the start? Like,
it's still convincing today, Joe. Like this is literally part of my work, is to destigmatize what therapy represents. So even though I am therapy with Rob, I don't consider myself a therapist. I'm more so a coach, coaching people through my line of work is very conversational, exactly like this conversation here, bouncing ideas off of each other. We're working through things, and all I do is I bring my knowledge, expertise, and experience to the table, and we see what we can do.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all, is it? So you've got to really get to. Really, probably the first session, you just need to get to know the individual for a start as well, isn't it? Because it's not as simple as like one thing works for him, one thing works for her.
Exactly. But yeah, like there's definitely a lot of convincing, man. A lot of, there was at first. I think more so now, as my brand's getting out there, people are understanding like what I'm about, what I'm doing. It's becoming more of a known entity and a known line of work. People have S&C coaches, nutritionists, massage therapists. They have the whole works covered, but the mind side of things is 100% neglected, man. So
you see all the people at the top as well. You know, when you've started like delving into this world and you've started looking into self-development, mindset, all that sort of thing. I used to like listen to Conor McGregor speak. You know what he's saying, but you don't understand it. And when you start looking into this realm and you start like watching other things, videos on it, I don't know, listening to people like Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, whatever, Wim Hof, all these sorts of things. Like I like to listen to Russell Brand as well. People about like law of attraction, power of manifestation, whatever. And then you go back and listen to the things like Conor McGregor and whatever saying. It means a completely different thing to you. Doesn't it? You pick up on it completely differently. And yeah, I think like, what's your thoughts on like law of attraction, manifestation, that type of?
Yeah, I'm massively. So there's that book in the Rhonda Byrne, The Secret.
Yeah.
I understand, like you have to have the vision. You have to put that energy out there. But I think why that book gets a lot of stick is because that's all it says. It says just think about it. If you want £1 million, think about it and it'll come to you. It's bullshit. Like, you have to put in the action. You have to, but by thinking about that goal allows you to have more of an opportunity of spotting these things. We have the reticular activating system within the mind, the confirmation bias. This part of the mind allows in some information, it blocks out other information. So if we start to if we wake up in the morning and think, fucking hell, today's going to be a stressful day, you will start to see everything that confirms that you're correct. So that commute to work is stressful. That person over there is pissing me off. Like, you've got all of these things to confirm that part of your mind is correct. So if you open up your mind to the possibility of me being number one in the country, I will start to see and spot the opportunities that align with that. And then I've got to take the action. I've got to move into it.
It's like that yellow car. Do you ever used to play the game where you punch your mate in the arm and you see a yellow car? So like, you never see a yellow car generally, and then you see them absolutely everywhere in it. And like you're saying, if you're focused on that £1 million, it's not just going to land in your bank account, like book is kind of saying.
Yeah.
But what will happen, like you say, you'll start to see opportunities which could bring you that £1 million, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because they didn't exist until you believed you could get it. So believing you can get it is definitely like a really good first step.
Yeah, for sure.
But have you had like many successes with clients yet? Are you like
massive successes? Every single client, Joe, is just a massive success. Someone can have one session with me and walk away and they'll be like, what am I doing here? Like, let's go. Let's keep pushing. My approach is definitely motivational, inspirational. I want people to wake up to the fact that you and I sat here, Joe, we're not fulfilling our full potential. Like, it's so much bigger than us just sat here. We can keep pushing it, keep driving it. So when people first come to me, by just opening their eyes to even just some of these conversations that we're having today, they might not even understand, like you say, before delving into the world of self-development, those interviews, what Conor McGregor was speaking on, didn't really make sense. You couldn't put the two together, but now you understand. It's some of my clients who don't know this line of work, who've never had any experience with it. My role initially is to open the mind up to it, and then it's like boom, win, success. So the work that I do, Joe, it ranges from we're working through, pre-fight nerves, right up to someone who doesn't have any issues at all. So it's a whole range of and everything else in between. So the people that I work with, like I've said before, who haven't got those issues, it's about how far can we push it? What else is going to allow you to perform at peak performance, to get into that flow state, to achieve your full potential? Then the people that I work with who have got those barriers, those blockages, I don't like using the word issues, but those barriers, those blockages initially, overcoming them, getting them as consciously aware as possible. Boom, okay, we're at this point now. Now let's grow it. Let's strengthen it. Let's see what we can do.
You don't even know where them blockages are, though, do you, when you're starting, maybe, necessarily? You just know something's not clicking right. And it could be something, like, maybe not trauma as such, but yeah, as you're growing up, you're getting told by people, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. That'll never make money, that'll never work. And, like, yeah, you're trying to prove them wrong. Like, that's kind of like a driving force for a lot of people. But also, like, it's not all about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right, isn't it?
Exactly, man. I love the fact that you said that, Joe.
Yeah,
that is it, man. That is it. Taking it from putting your energy into the negative, proving them wrong, to let me prove myself right.
Yeah,
and that is one of the biggest things that I drive home to the people that I work with, is that don't focus on the things that you don't want, because that's where the energy is going to be flowing. Focus on the things that you do want, and then again, you're going to spot the opportunities that align with that. It's crazy, man. It's crazy what the power of the mind can do.
Yeah, because like them things, they do drive you on. But I think, yeah, like you say, you focus on negative things, and negative things just tend to happen. It's like, yeah, like you say, you get up in the morning, you spot the stress. Next thing you know, you're seeing it everywhere you go, and it's just following you around like a shadow, innit? But yeah, man, like a lot of people think it's like mumbo jumbo, don't they? And they've probably heard me have this talk with people before. It's like, it's all hoo-ha, this self-development, mindset stuff. But like, I definitely think it's going to make hell of an impact on people. And right now as well, like you're working with like athletes and stuff. I'd imagine some of them probably aren't happy, but I would imagine a lot of them, because of like the training and the nutrition and whatever, they're probably in a pretty decent space in general. I haven't met many MMA fighters who've come here and have been like a down person.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Or I've got
I hear that.
too much going on. So that's quite a good like start. But there's just so many people in the world right now which aren't in that space though, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think like when you go to the NHS or whatever with a mental health problem, I can't like judge really and say, oh, you shouldn't be taking tablets or whatever. But I think there's steps first, and they're like maybe working with someone like yourself, working with a nutritionist, getting a gym membership. Like I think all these things should open up as free before the tablets come into play.
Yeah. No, I agree. Literally, Joe, every single client that I've ever worked with that have been taking psychotropics or things like sertraline, those antidepressants, basically. Every single one of them, I've asked the question, do you want to take these forever? And the answer is no. I want to get off these as soon as possible. So people know when they're taking them. I might be generalising here, but from my experience, the people that have been taking them, they want to come off of them. They don't want to have that as a vice, as a crux to feeling better. Or it's not even feeling better; it's just numbing that emotion. So moving through the day just emotionless. So yeah, I'm quite passionate about medication and things like that because, you know, there are things that we can do. However, you know, for some cases I guess it is important.
I think if you're on the cusp of like taking action on the way you're feeling, then maybe there's that line where maybe let's get you on that and then work on the other things. But I think with a lot of people, the initial thing they probably is like just natural work you can do on yourself first of all, and then
yeah.
You know, once you start knowing these things as well, like I still even treat myself wrong, knowing things which you know, but you know, you can just, when you know it, you know you can try and pull yourself back as well. But I don't know, it's a weird thing in mind, isn't it? Because when things are going right, I'm like fucking winning at the minute, winning. But then like somehow, I don't know, I just got like a addictive personality with like bad food and all that. I think everyone's probably got that. It just like seeps its way back in somehow, doesn't it?
Sure, yeah. But this is where we have to remain clear on his goals, constantly connecting with where we're moving to, and then using that as a metric to base your decisions on. So is this going to align with me getting to that point? If the answer's no, fuck it off, don't do it.
Yeah.
I know that sounds dead simple, but you have to have that clarity on where you want to go, what you want to be, who you want to be. And if you base all of your decisions on that, me, Joe, I'm looking to be number one in the country at what I do. So that is everything that I make, every decision that I make is based on that metric. Will that get me to number one? If the answer is yeah, I'm doing it. Whether the time, money, energy costs a shitload, I ain't bothered, man, because I know the more I grow myself and my brand, the more people I can help, and I'm passionate about bringing and destigmatizing that idea of what therapy represents, because it's bullshit, man. Hypnotherapy has got such a bad rep from people like Paul McKenna and Darren Brown. Like, I ain't taken anything away from them because fundamentally they are hypnotherapists or they are stage hypnotists. But it just sort of like, it's that, is it woo-woo? You know, that's what the first response that I get from people. Like, so skeptical. I worked with a boxer last night, Casey Bradnam. He's got his pro debut coming up. The first session, the first interaction that we had, it was like, I just don't get how this was going to work. First time we did hypnotherapy last night, boom, it was like, do you know what? I think I'm open to this now. And I was like, boom, that's it, sorted. That's all I need. That's all I need from these people. I need people to be open, trust the process, and I guarantee I can get people results.
Yeah,
100%, man.
I'm excited to see where you're going to go with it as well, mate. You know, follow your journey 100% from
Appreciate
you.
it, man.
And see where it goes. And like, yeah, man, if there's anyone facing any blockages or whatever, try and send them your way, innit?
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Definitely, man. There's definitely people who can achieve far more than they are. And I know I'm in that position right now. I'm sure you are. There's probably is things on the daily you don't even know you're doing that's holding us back, isn't it? It's trying to identify them, move forward with it. But
yeah, definitely. I've got the big plans to move into, like I said to you just before we started the recording, my girlfriend, nutritionist, she's a massage therapist, she's a PT as well. I'm looking to bring her on board. TWR, I want that to represent not only just hypnotherapy and mindset coaching, but mind, body, spirit, looking after yourself, like fundamentally, because it is so important with how we move through life. And if we can connect to these big goals, what we want to achieve, that clarity means so much. Again, that's part of the work that I do, Joe, is creating clarity for a lot of people. So primarily I do work with athletes, more so in the combat sports world. Got a few other athletes as well in golf and rugby, but I do a lot of business coaching as well. I've done some coaching with couples, and again, it's just all about creating that clarity, having that understanding of the mind. If you can do that, man, you can move through any situation in your life.
So that hypnotherapy course and the counselling, whatever, was that full-time 3-year course?
No. So that was part-time. So that was when I worked in a debt management company, and throughout my work job, I've always worked in like a sensitive department, working with sensitive customers, vulnerable customers. So again, I've always had that sort of interest in helping people and really try to get the best outcome for people.
I think I can hear that, the phone voice now.
Yeah. Oh shit! I need to lose that, man. I need to lose it. Yeah, like that's literally where I came from. Office work, helping people out in terms of vulnerabilities. But then that was part time, and as soon as I hit hypnotherapy, and and my whole mind opened up to it, I was like, right, this is my direction. And I felt blessed to be in that position, man. I was, 22 years old, and I was just blessed to be in that position at such a young age because, Joe, since starting office work at, I remember 17 years old, man, I had an apprenticeship in a solicitor's, and I fucking hated it, man. Hated every single moment of it. And I made the decision, the biggest thing for me, so I came in and I was a debt clerk. So I was a debt clerk to a debt manager. Basically, I was a bitch to someone, and I come in and there was a big stack of filing, and he was off for a couple of weeks just as I started. So I thought, do you know what? When he gets back, I'm going to smash out all of this filing. Bang, did it all. I'm not kidding, man. The filing was like up here, these tiny little pieces of paper. Must have been thousands of them. Did all of that, and he come in, and he didn't even say a thing to me, and I was like, right. I'm never doing anything for I'm not going out of my way within this business, especially when I was just getting £400 a month. And I thought, I've just busted my ass off for like a couple of weeks doing all of this for 8 hours a day. Nah, never again. So like from there, I think that did spark something within me to be like, I need to work on my own. I need to work for myself. And then for years I battled with that. Like I worked in a debt charity, worked in an IT security company, and every single thing, I was just getting the same thing back, like, I need to do something on my own. And then literally met my girlfriend, and she just opened up my whole world. She was just a breath of fresh air. She just completely changed how I viewed things. And then that's when she was like, why don't you look into counselling? And then boom, that's it. But the business side of things, Joe, I fucking love. I honestly love, man. Like I say, I've got a business coach, business mentor, I've got a supervisor, and I've got my own coach as well. I massively believe in it. I believe in it. So that is the energy that I put out to the people that I work with. I ain't just a guy sat there just reading from a script. I'm living and breathing all of these things that I'm saying to the people that I work with.
Yeah, I suppose you also need a coach who's like at a higher level than you are.
Definitely,
just
man.
To because a rising ship brings up everyone, doesn't it? So you've got to like try and do that. I mean, you've got to try and make sure you're aligning with the people who's in the space above you, and also it shows true that you believe in the process and whatever, because you're never going to reach. There is no such thing as like a final form. Exactly, this is where I am. That's the peak, because there is always more in there, and there's always new things happening, and you can diversify into new sports. You can take people on under you, teach the practices. It's like never ending, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
when it comes to it. And
exactly.
I respect you for like understanding that's what you needed to do and needed to be as well, because I felt like that so many times. Like I think I was saying earlier, I got a day job and everything. That's not where I want to be, and I've always had that itch of like wanting to be self-employed, wanting to do my own thing. But the comfort of the regular income just kind of like softens that a little bit. It's like when you think about it, it's like, oh, fuck. Do you know what I mean? You get this thing, whereas I know that's like a limiting belief in itself, isn't it? Thinking you won't get enough, you won't do enough, and like you can't live in that space. But
definitely not, man. When I first went self-employed, shitting myself. So it was. I thought to myself, I can either focus on, fuck, where's this money coming from? Because to be frank, I work with people to help them, but money's important for what I do. I believe in the value that I give people, so that's the price that I put on it. Instead of me thinking, shit, where's this money coming from? I thought, do you know what? There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of people for me to help. So let me move into that. And again, I focus on the things that I do want, and I still do it today, Joe. It's like being self-employed. It has its worries. Like you start to think, shit, where's that money coming from? Or I've got this to pay for, that to do. And then as soon as you start putting all of that energy into those things of like fear and worry, that's what's coming back to you, man. So I instantly just change that. I identify that I've had that thought. Let me change that. Right, there's plenty. I've got plenty of things coming up. I've got plenty of people to see. I've got all of these big ideas, and I just tune into those things. And then before I know it, I just, like you said before, you just end up stepping into those things, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, or subconsciously aware of it. You just step into those things.
Yeah, whatever you think about, you feed it, you give it life, don't you? And
exactly. Even just thinking about creating your reality creates your reality. Thinking about what you want to do creates that reality. Like I want to go do this. Boom! It starts to form all of these neural connections within the mind. To, oh, okay, I could do that. I could do this, and it gives you a little bit of purpose. Moving through, the biggest thing that I come up against with clients, Joe, is people just go into training sessions just for the sake of it, and losing that bit of spark, and then start to lose that love of the sport, whether it's boxing or MMA, Muay Thai. If we connect with our purpose, if we connect with the why, it's going to allow us to move through each situation of our life with intent. I'm going here because of this. This represents this. Boom. Okay, this is what I've got from this situation. Whether it's a good or bad session, bad session's subjective. You know, it's like I've got some high level clients, high level fighters on the books, Joe, and they say, "Oh, I had a bad session last night," and I'm like, "Right, tell me why it's a bad session." "Oh, well, I did this, and this," and I was like, "Well, if I came and saw that, I guarantee I wouldn't see that as a bad session. It's just because you hold yourself to such a high regard."
Have you ever had someone, you've worked with them, and they've gone, "This hasn't benefited me"? I'm not trying to like put you on the spot.
No. Like I love these questions, man. I'm just sifting through. I think without someone explicitly saying, "Nah, this doesn't help me," by them dropping off or like not coming back to see me, not getting back in touch, I think that sort of speaks for itself. Maybe the money's an element of that as well, but not explicitly to my face. I'm a big. You have to buy into who you're working with. You have to buy into them. If people don't align with me, they're not. They don't like my approach. That's fine, man. Like there's someone else out there for you, 100%. And I've got a catalogue of people who I can refer people to. If you'd be a good fit for this person, go and contact them. But if someone aligns with me, we can hit it off straight away. Bounce those ideas off of each other. Yeah, we're getting results, man.
I like that because I asked that question purely to see like if you would probably you're looking at the benefit for them, whether it's with you or with someone else, and you understand that as well, which is great because, not everyone's going to gel. And also, if you're not open-minded to working with someone or you could even allow the fact, because like maybe someone's referred to, like, oh, you should go work with Rob, and you're like, that shit don't work, but I'll try it. Like going in with that mindset, it's not going to work, is it? You've got to, like you say, you've got to allow it to work.
But it works like from my side as well, Joe. If I recognise like, I don't think I'm going to gel with you, like, or I'm not getting the best vibe from you, I'll say that. Like, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. And I've only done it probably maybe 4 times. But that's me acting ethically. I need to make sure that I'm giving them the best. I'll always turn up to a session. I'll give my 100%. I get constant feedback saying I'm the most passionate coach that they've got. And I believe in that. I feel like I am as well because I love what I do. So if I believe like, there's a little bit of a disconnect between us, I'll say that. I'll say, I don't think this I'm going to be able to help you with this thing, or I don't feel like I'm the right fit to assist you with this. And then I'll try and refer them where possible.
That shows though the true passion like you've got of actually wanting to make it work, because a lot of people probably hold on to people just for the money, wouldn't it? And just
Exactly,
be like,
man.
you know, that's 40 quid there, that's 30 quid here, whatever it is, you know, just to get that money rolling in. Whereas, yeah, if it's not working, it'd be a drain on you too, wouldn't it? Because it would be so false, like, and then you probably drag that energy into your next session, and then maybe you're letting down someone who you were gelling with or whatever, innit? That stuff just manifests and becomes more. So yeah, you got to try and, if it's not working, like, cut it off, innit?
Exactly. It's like that conversation that we had before, where you, in terms of this podcast, it was like you want to see the people that you want to see, because it feels right for you. You want to enjoy this. This is your hustle. This is what you like to do. It's exactly the same with me. I don't want to go to a session and think, fucking hell, I can't be arsed with this. That's not fair on me. But to be honest with you, Joe, like, starting off, I did do that. So I was getting so many different walks of life, different backgrounds, different presenting issues, things like someone who chokes, or like a phobia of choking, biting nails, a stutter. I've worked with so many different things with hypnotherapy, more so. And then slowly, as I started to see those people, I was thinking, when I was coming out of the sessions, thinking, that was a tough session. You know, that it was hard to get a lot out of them. We wasn't gelling, and then literally, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to work with people that I'm rocking up to a session, the energy's high, we're having a laugh, we're vibing off of each other, and ultimately we're getting work done, but it's in the most sincere way. It's in the most sort of like easy way that I work with people.
Yeah.
I don't want to have that therapist-client relationship. Some of my clients have identified and articulated that that's what they want. They want me to be the therapist. They want to have that accountability, which, fair enough. If that's how you want to work, let's do it. But for the most part, it's very conversational. I see the people that I work with, Joe, the high-performing individuals, whether it's through business, through sports, or through work, and I love that. I want to work with those people.
I think that's where, for me, when it gets too serious, people shell up and it doesn't become as open. It was like this conversation now. I ask you a question, but a lot of the time I just finish what I'm saying and you start what you're saying because you've got something to say about it. It's not necessarily like, how does therapy help someone, Rob?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's at the start, but then once you're 5 minutes in, it's just flowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it becomes weird. It becomes like people don't want to watch it even. Like you're saying, I don't do things I really want to do now. Like I get people suggest people all the time, and I'm just like, I don't see that being right. Maybe sometimes I should be a bit more open myself and give it a chance, because some of these things have worked really well. But at the same time, I'm like, you've got to be feeling it, haven't you? You've got to be feeling it, because that'll come across. Like, if I had you here today and I was like, oh, fuck, I can't really be asked for that. I don't know, why am I doing that?
That would come across.
It would come across, mate. You'd know as well. It would be really awkward. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want it to be enjoy. I really want to enjoy it. Although sometimes even the ones you think are going to be really good, they don't always. It doesn't always come off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You roll the dice, don't you?
That's it, man. That's it. So, to put the question on you, Joe, like, do you have like an idea of, or a list of things that you'd want to hit for a podcast? I know that this person would bring this, and this, which would overall make it enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So, like, for me, when I like assess if I'm going to have someone on, first of all, I'm like, am I going to enjoy the conversation? These are all labelled equally in my head, so it's not like, it's not all about me. So it's not like, am I going to enjoy it? But that is one of them. Am I going to enjoy it?
For sure.
Number 2, is it going to add value to people? Number 3, is it going to be fun as well? Do you know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm not really the type of person, like, I feel like I will ask a hard question, like if it arises and it needs to be asked, but also like I'm not going to be confrontational, because I feel like that shells people up as well. Do you know what I mean? So I just want it to be open, honest, and I feel like whatever comes out comes out. So yeah, they're pretty much like my 3 main things. It's just keeping it like that.
It has to be. It has to be. We had that conversation, didn't we? Of like, for you to grow this, you have to be authentic. You have to be congruent. Congruent means being genuine. You have to be genuine, and that's what I've found through working with athletes, through working with high performing individuals, because we're already on a level. I consider myself a high performing individual. I'm growing my business exponentially. Because we're already on that level, we've got something to work off straight away, and it feels right that I can just sit back in sessions. I can put my feet up. I can have a coffee if I want, and I can just have a conversation with people. And from starting my work as a hypnotherapist, I felt very like insular. Felt very I just felt like I was professing to be someone like this idea of a therapist. If you think of a therapist, you think of someone in a tie, don't you? Just sat back on a chair taking notes.
Someone laid down on a bed.
You think of all of that, don't you? And it puts up those barriers, and I think that's what that's the sort of barriers that people have when starting working with me. That's what they think it's going to be, but I think as soon as they see me and how relaxed I am within a session, it instantly just brings those barriers down, and then the floodgates open. We're getting chatting.
That's 100% how I find with this, mate. I just try to, like, before we even start, you know, it's not like, right, come in, turn the cameras on, boom, we're off. Like, I'm trying to, like, to be honest with you, I'm just being myself. If anything, I'm just trying to chill out and have a laugh and whatever. And you kind of gauge in the first 5 minutes of meeting someone how it's going to go before you even start. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you were sound, you come up, nice to meet you, whatever. Do you know it tells a lot. Some people are just coming because they're not even necessarily. It's a weird thing sometimes. You know? It's just sometimes it can become weird. But I find, like, when it's just chilled out, it's easy. And like sometimes it's me as well. Like, I will admit, sometimes, like, maybe I've had a bad day, and like everyone has them, and you can bring that to this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's exactly the same with my work, Joe. If I need to put all of my anything that's going on the outside. So Luke, my business mentor, one of the most fundamental and most profound things he said to me is, use your reminders in your phone. And I was like, he was like, nah, you use your reminders in your phone. And I was like, right, okay, I'll give it a go. As soon as I did that, it just freed up all of me. So if I have a thought that comes in, I need to do that. Bang it in the reminders, bang it on a couple of days, or bang it when it needs to happen. And then my mind's free then. And then what I can do is I can go into each session and think, I'm giving my 100% here. I'm not thinking about the things that I need to do. I'm not thinking about the last session, because the last session I take notes and that's boxed off. I have 5 minutes between a session. Go get a drink, whatever. If I ever have like a busy day, I'll try and leave a good like 20 minutes, half an hour between like the first half and the second half. And I do a bit of meditation, take myself out, take some nice deep breaths, just go inside myself. I've been meditating for about 8 years, so I can literally just zone out instantly. And again, this is part and parcel of why I believe in my job so much, because I do it on a regular basis. Probably shouldn't. I probably don't do it enough as I should. But when I do that, it resets me. It allows me to be my whole 100% for my next block of clients. Yeah.
I try my best to do a certain amount of it. Do you know what I mean? It makes hell of a difference to everything. And like, if I am having one of them days before coming and doing something like this, I will take that 5 minutes before coming in and do it, just because it will change everything. It's like a pause in everything you've built up for the day. You're like, fuck. It's like, boom. It's like a fresh start.
It is.
Once you've done
mad,
that,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So they say like an hour of hypnotherapy is meant to be like 8 hours of deep rest.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sleep, but like 8 hours of deep rest.
Really?
So if I do a 20-minute session with someone and they're knackered, I love when a client comes to a session and they're a little bit tired, because then I'm like, right, perfect. You're going to slip into that state a lot quicker. Boom. When you're coming out, you're feeling refreshed. I guarantee it. So like if I'm ever feeling tired, drink a coffee, 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of self-hypnosis, depending on what I'm working on. I'm happy days, man. I'm moving, I'm waking up, I'm coming back round, and I'm refreshed.
Have you ever done a float tank? I assist quite a lot of people, but
nah, man. Like then this is so. Me and my girlfriend need a night away, man. We've got, as you know, Joe, we need a night away. We haven't had a night away together yet, without Theo. And there's Carden Park, and they've got float tanks, I think.
Where's that, sorry?
Carden Park, I don't know, I think.
They got some in Swansea, see?
Have they, yeah?
Yeah, you're not far from where they are when you're going down to see Angelo this weekend.
Right, got you. I might go down.
Banging, mate, honestly. Class. Really nice people as well that run them. Like, it's worth a shout anyway. You could go in or whatever, well, your missus had the boy or whatever, and then she could go,
yeah.
if you've got time anyway. But it's definitely something worth having a look at.
Yeah, honestly, man, I've been looking into it for so long, and the whole point of me saying about having that night away was Kristen saying, like, we need to go to Carden Park. Carden Park has these float tanks as part of a spa day, so I'm like, I need to get myself there, come back completely reset.
Amazing, honestly. Like,
have you done them often then?
I've probably done it like half a dozen times, I would say. The first time, because naturally when you're going to do something new, you've got that little bit of like extra anxiety. Like we were saying before, and the first time you rep something, it's harder than the next time. So the first time, it took me like 20 minutes of actually being in there to relax fully. And like, because I've already been doing meditation before I did it, I was trying to meditate like quite heavily in there. And it was really good. Felt the benefits for like, I'd say like 3 or 4 weeks after, just felt like really good. And then like I noticed then I was starting to like peter off a little bit, and I thought to myself, right, I'm going to go again. So went again. We kept doing it then like once every month for 2 months.
That's beautiful.
The third time I went in there, mate, it was like, took me like 2 minutes to settle back into where I'd left off from the last time. And honestly, it's so weird because like you obviously, I guess you know about them because you're talking, but like the temperature of the air is the same as the water, and it's really hard to differentiate between them.
Yeah, I need to experience that, man. I need to.
Yeah,
it's like hypnotherapy. What you've just described. When people come back to the next session, they can just drop straight into it. Then Them barriers have come down a little bit. Like you say, that little bit of anxiety or apprehension, it's forgotten. I was like having this after 10 minutes. The one time, I guess, all these times I'm saying I guess because you don't have a clue because it's pitch black. There's no clock. I'm like, I don't know if I was sleeping or awake. Honestly, I couldn't tell you at the time. I couldn't tell myself if I was awake or asleep. I didn't know if I was in a dream or if this experience I was having was real. Mad. I need to experience that.
Honestly, mate, it was like, I don't know. I've never had a psychedelic experience and whatever, but I feel like it was such an out-of-body thing. I didn't know if I was actually in Swansea in a float tank or in my bed at home.
Wow.
Honestly, mate, I couldn't at the time. It was such a weird thing, mate. It's really hard to describe, but
I need to check it out. I've had a psychedelic experience. I've had a couple, so I'll be able to see the difference, because that's what I've heard from loads of people that have done it. They feel like it's a psychedelic experience, even if someone hasn't had a psychedelic experience.
It was crazy, mate. What have you done then, if you don't mind me asking?
Like years ago, back in when I was younger and stuff. I've done LSD, mushrooms, magic truffles as well. So those three, it's just crazy. I used to do it like once a year. Last year I didn't do it at all. In terms of mushrooms, I used to like it as a reset, but I've found so many different things now to be able to reset myself. But I think it's class though.
I've debated DMT like a number of times. But the only thing that holds me back is like, I feel like you can probably achieve it naturally.
I reckon we've got natural DMT within us, haven't we?
I think if you eat clean living for a month, you meditate daily, maybe probably a load of float tanks or something, they reckon you can get there naturally anyway. So I'm like, I feel like that's just another substitute then, isn't it? If you're going to take a drug to get there. You know what I mean? I know probably the experience is still amazing, but I feel like if I could get there naturally, I feel like I probably should just put the work in 1 month and do it rather than... You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. That's why. It's that's why I've always preferred like mushrooms, because it's just natural. I can definitely feel the synthetic high from. I think I've only done LSD twice. And that's just it was too hectic for me. But I found like with mushrooms you can really connect with yourself. Things make more sense. It's literally like you go back to that primal state where it's like, these 4 walls that I'm in right now, I need to get out. Walks in the woods are beauty. Like hearing the trees talk to you, like, or moving, everything's breathing. It's a good experience, but it's not really something that I need.
I've debated trying. Like, I know a lot of people who microdose like quite regularly.
A lot of fighters do that.
Do they? It's supposed to be brilliant. Like, but bringing it back to like hearing the trees talking and all that sort of thing. I watched. I can't remember his name, but he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about how trees and everything in nature, they all talk to each other, like in the roots and stuff. It's called mycelium in the ground. They use them networks to talk to each other. So say, for instance, there's a guy like with a chainsaw cutting a tree up, that like I don't know how they've tested this, but they've basically said like the trees like further on will find ways to like toughen themselves ready for it, just because this one's talking to them.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like that is mental, isn't it? And we are all connected at the end of the day. Like there's no better feeling than when you are out, or you're at the top of a mountain, or you're in the woods walking or whatever. No one wants to do it, but whilst you're doing it, it's the best thing ever, isn't it? It's just
yeah. I could speak about mushrooms all day, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like mycelium's crazy. They say it's like the internet of the nature.
There you go. So you've delved into that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, mycelium is just basically it's just fungus. It's the makings of where fungus comes from, whether it's a mushroom or a truffle.
Yeah, they believe that's like a lot of ways of thinking is that's how we've become like an intelligent being, isn't it?
Yeah. By taking psychedelics, and then I think they've from memory, this might be completely wrong, but like the first man to take psychedelic mushrooms, they were able to then spot like, oh shit, there's food over there. Like it started to evolve the brain, because I think literally our brains as humans evolved, like it grew 50% in size from when we were primitive to like where we are today, which 50% increase in the brain size. Like that's
you get to know if like Bezos or Bill Gates is mushrooms, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's Steve Jobs. That's what he used to do when he was in his garage. Yeah. It was wound up in his garage, just getting high every day. And then who knows where.
If you ever come back, mate, you'll come back. There'll just be mushrooms everywhere.
I'm in. I'm invested.
Yeah. The thing is though, it's such like, you know, I haven't done them probably because of like the stigma around them. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people deem it as like a really bad thing, don't they? And I wouldn't know. I've never done them, but you know, I think there's definite benefits for people, isn't there? I've seen it like in people.
Yeah, exactly. Microdosing, and there's retreats where people can go on, and they can just take like high doses of whatever it is.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah. There's loads, isn't there? There's so many different forms of psychedelics, from tree roots, from frogs, things like that.
Them things make you pretty ill, I think, though, don't they? The ayahuasca and whatever. You're just like, I think it helps, but it's really quite a bad experience.
Yeah, well, it's poison, really. Yeah. It's exactly the same with mushrooms. You can definitely feel it in your stomach, like, shit, I shouldn't be eating this. Like, my body's not cut out for this. But that's what Cambo is. Cambo, like, have you heard of Cambo?
No.
Cambo is like frog poisoning. So they take frog poison and they burn like 3 dots. So your skin's open, and then they put the frog poison in there, and it just makes you purge. It's called purging. You just vomit everywhere, but apparently afterwards you're meant to feel like it's a big detox. Like I don't fancy that though. You end
stick
up
to the celery juice and
spinach juice and that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Have you got a final message, mate? You want to put out there?
Yeah, 100%. If anyone wants to work with me, I'm here. TWR. I'm literally taking this to the moon. Massively passionate about destigmatizing what therapy represents. Time and time again, I've seen results with people. If anyone wants to take control over the mind, take that next level, achieve the full potential, or just understand a little bit more about themselves, you know where I'm at. Therapy with Rob on Instagram.
Awesome, mate. Appreciate that. I think you've come across really well.
Appreciate it, man.
You know, you've sold yourself, but also like you're just a genuine guy. So I appreciate you coming down, making the trip. And I have got one message completely separate to our podcast I wouldn't mind just putting out. There's this lad in Ebervale. He's about 19, 20 years old, struggling with cancer at the minute. It is terminal, and he's decided to give like his life savings away to a younger lad who's struggling in the same sort of struggle.
That's class, man.
Just want to give him a shout out, really, and anyone. I'm going to drop a GoFundMe link in the bottom, so make sure to go and donate to that and support him. But yeah. Cheers, mate. Thanks again.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate you having me on. I've really enjoyed it, bro.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Cheers, guys. Like and subscribe, and catch you again, maybe.
100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy.
Experience Real Podcast.